ladies and gentlemen, August 1st. Welcome to another episode of IT and Live Unscripted with Scoop and EB. EB, how you living, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Well, I was running a little bit late, man.
Oh,
I was hiking. My legs were sore.
okay. Well, it is Saturday, so no issues with that. I appreciate that you're getting out there and staying healthy. You know, me and the family just got back from Mendocino, so we are rested and recovered. Um, Today's show, man, this came out of you, right? You had some conversations, and we had some conversations a couple of weeks ago about the importance of PPE, personal protective equipment. You know, and the fact that you military veteran and have seen what it's really like. You know, the importance of wearing protective gear when you're in interesting situations that, you know, some are classified, some are not classified. We can talk about some things, we can talk about some other things, but you thought it'd be a good idea to get us together and find some like-minded folks who've kind of been in the same situation that you've been in, and talk about, like, from a military aspect, right? Understanding that why it's important to be protected, why it's important to wear these masks, and to be cognizant of the issues that are facing us, and tying that back to COVID, right? Uh, you got a little feedback coming on your microphone, but still, tell us a little bit about what you think about again the topic, and then I'll bring everybody online that we got sitting in behind the scenes.
You know what? Actually, COVID did spark up, a big, not issue, but just something to think about because honestly, we really we're never cognizant about things that can happen or things that you can spread during the pandemic, right? So we're in a pandemic, right? So in the military, we were in like situations or environments where PPE, protective gear, was necessary, but I don't think we took it as serious. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So, let's not delay, man. We've got a very cool panel sitting behind the scenes, and let me slowly bring everybody online. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, this panel right here is no joke. This panel that we've got right here is some men who have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Who was that? Was that Clint Eastwood? Was that who that was that said that? But let's do some introductions first. You know who I am. You know who Eric is. Let me start with the senior first. Let me be respectful and start with that young man at the bottom right. So, Mr. James Six, if you can give us your name and your location.
I am James W. Hitch Sr., and I'm currently
Uh-oh.
located in Roseville, California, in the Sun City Complex. Uh, what else addition would you like to hear?
Well, look, you just did a shout out to all you people there in Sun City. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. We'll go next to Mr. Danny, please. Danny, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are.
Yeah, I'm Danny O'Neill. I'm in Folsom, California. Every once in a while, I play golf over there in Sun City area. But I definitely love living here with my big family and, trying to make a difference in the world.
Awesome, thank you, sir. And last but not least, the man with the Tifferay or Tifferette.
Tiferet.
Okay, let me pronounce it right.
Yeah.
Let's give a little shout out to the coffee house.
I'm probably saying it wrong too, but my name is Marvin. I live in Antelope, California. Did Air Force active duty 4 years, 20 years reserve.
Awesome. E, tell about yours. I'm gonna start with you, E, and then what I'm really gonna do. I'm kind of gonna be like the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes, pulling the strings. I'm gonna let you gentlemen talk about, again, as you introduce yourself again, talk about your military experience, what branch of service that you were in, and then the relevance of personal protective equipment and what you've seen, what you can talk about that you've seen, and how that kind of relates to our need today to be wearing masks and protective equipment as we deal with COVID. Because I don't think that enough of society, civilians in society, are taking this as seriously as they should be, which is why we have spikes occurring in all different types of states and all different types of locations. So, Eric, let's start with you with that piece of the discussion, your branch of service, and then kind of some of your experiences that you've had while you were active duty?
Okay, like Marvin, I was actually in the Air Force. I was in for about 6.5 years. So I was a environmental specialist, and then we kind of merged in with electric, so it was being called electro environmental system. I did a little working on aircraft, so we're around a potential hazard. Yeah, I worked on F-16s, I worked on heavies, I worked on 141s, 130s, C-5, mainly when I was in the Philippines. Different type of planes came in. Just talking about TPE. So, and I don't want to take away from the military. They informed us, hey, you're going to be working around some crazy, dangerous stuff. But as you start working in the maintenance field, in my experience, you know, you became complacent. You had to wear masks. You go in there, you wear a mask. But there are times, like especially in the Philippines or the hotter areas, regions, you're like, okay, I'm not gonna wear this mask. I'm just gonna do some work real quick. You don't realize that take for instance, okay, so I did the military. I was working on aircraft, and then I was civil service, working at the Paul Air Force Base. We did kind of depot type maintenance, where we ripped the plane apart and re-put everything in during peak time compliance changes. And I would know. I had to, you put brackets in like maybe a fuel cell, so they would take the bladder out. But I don't know, anybody that's worked on aircraft knows that you take the bladder, you're still gonna have some fumes in there. So you're sitting in there. Oh, it's gonna take me 10 minutes. I'm sitting there ratcheting. You don't think about there's a hazard. The cancerous fumes, the
Yeah.
JPA that's helping bladder. So
Well, I was saying, Marvin, you definitely know about that as well, right? Working on the fuel
Yeah,
cell. So, I mean, so you guys can kind of bounce back and forth in terms of
yeah.
the criticality of being
Well, yeah,
protected.
like you said, you do get complacent, depending on what you're working on. If you see a spill on the ground, your tendency is to grab it, to touch it with your hands, your bare hands, and smell it. Um, Somebody was being inspected, and it was like, "Oh, what's that on the aircraft?" And the guy went and started to touch it, and the guy inspector said, "Hey, no, you can't do that. You need to put some gloves on." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." But it's complacent. Sometimes you have a rag, and you can grab it, wipe it, smell it, see what's going on. But you do get complacent sometimes because you've been in this situation. You usually know what it is already, so either you know to touch it or you know not to touch it, depending on what part of the aircraft it's leaking from, where on the ground it is.
Right.
So
So, Dad, let me ask you, Dad, because you were FMS Field Maintenance Squadron, and you again got to see the underside, underbelly of all the old school planes, B-52s, and things like that. So, you can relate to this, right? Going out there and working on something in an emergency situation, and probably you run out there on the flight line and you don't have all your gear on like you're supposed to, maybe, right? But you go out there and because you got to get the job done before the bombers start taking flight. I guess give us some perspective on that.
I'll be happy to. One of the things I want to address that I think is important is the term we use now, PPE. Well, when I was back in the military, I didn't know about PPE. We knew about gloves, goggles, aprons, and things of that nature, and earphones, But right now, the common name PPE, what's it called, personal protective equipment. You just don't realize how important that is until you become a victim of not using PPEs. Myself, like my son was saying, one of the things I worked in, I'll give you one aspect of what I did in the Air Force. I worked in a hydraulic shop. That's pneumatics, hydraulics. And that means I worked in any airplane, got landing gears, flight controls, steering, and so forth. I worked on the variety of aircraft in the Air Force. And one of the things we had to do, because some aircraft had what was known as engine-driven pumps on their engines. And when you repair, replace, or install one of those items, you have to test it out. In order to test it out, you have to run the engine on the aircraft. And when you run the engine on the aircraft, you encounter an extremely loud noise.
Yeah.
You encounter that noise for several years, you find out your hearing will be affected one way or the other. And I personally was real cognizant, always wearing ear protection. And I can still remember the day in 1973 when I was in Germany when they detected that my right hearing in my right ear was going out. And I said, KB, because I'm always wearing hearing protectors. Back in 1976, I came to Castle Air Force Base, and the flight surgeon pulled me off the flight line. I used to fly on these aircraft also. That was another thing. The flight surgeon pulled me off the flight line and told me that my hearing has got to the point where it's got to take me out of hazardous noise areas. Hazardous noise areas. The protector we use was the hearing aid. COVID we use right now, face mask. You gotta use these things. Do you know I almost went into a panic because I knew all I knew was fixing airplanes, working airplanes. I enjoyed that. And when the flight surgeon told me that if you continue to lose any more, it's going to affect the manner in which you speak. And I was being humorous. I said, whoa, 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 what? He explained to me the importance of wearing this PPE. What I need to explain to any and everybody to hope they'll take heed to it, you got to wear this stuff. You got to use this stuff because when you don't use it and then you become a victimized of not using it, it can be devastating. And one of the things we're finding out right now, the devastation is death. People are dying by not using it. James, let me say one more thing. When I talk about this, I haven't talked about an item like this in a long time. I use it as an example. You ever see a beekeeper go to the beehive without a uniform, without the protection? What happens if the beekeeper goes into the beehive without the protection? He or she would get something.
Right. Gonna be a problem. Yeah.
That's
okay. That's a great segue, I think, to the man to your immediate left, or well, I'm looking at him from the left because Danny, tell us a little bit about you and your military service. First and foremost, I guess, before you even say that, you gentlemen, thank you for your service. We all appreciate that. I don't think it's said enough. Respectfully, it hasn't been said for as long as it should have been. But we can talk about that at a later date too as well. But tell us a little bit about you, Danny.
So I grew up here in Northern California. I signed up for the Army on 9/11 in 2001. I was 19, and it really drove me to take action. I knew that I was young, I was in shape, and I wanted to make a difference. I knew I was capable, and I felt it was my duty after we had been attacked. And that led me, the military immediately, they try to teach you to be a leader. So within a few months, you get a new guy who's to your left, and you got to help make sure he's not screwed up and in the right uniform, right place, right time, so that you don't get in trouble. Everybody's responsible and accountable to each other, right? If you're responsible for yourself, you're accountable for with each other. And that helps create an environment where people do the right thing because you're always being accountable, right? So a couple things come to mind with the PPE in particular, a couple stories that have happened now. So I was a fire support specialist. We have different names. They call us fisters because we're a fire support team. So my job is to go with the infantryman. I'm an artillery guy who goes and calls for artillery, mortars, and air support. So your A-10, Warhogs, all your Apaches, anything that's going to drop bombs or shoot at the enemy. I'm a direct action guy. So my job is to go make contact with the enemy. So PPE for me is paramount to success. The reason that we're the greatest military in the world is because we have equipment that protects us. Now, there's two instances in my mind when we first started talking about doing this in the beginning. Scoop, was for me there was a picture that was all over. So I did the initial invasion in 2003 in Iraq, and I didn't end up after signing up for 9/11. I didn't go to Afghanistan. I went to Iraq twice. So I went in the initial invasion in 2003, then I went back again in December of 2005. Now, in 2006 when we were there was a picture of a guy who had his Oakleys on. You have to have eye protection, hearing protection, and then your personal protective equipment, your plates, body armor, your ammo, all that stuff, right? Okay, so this soldier was wearing his, now by the way, Oakley, every one of their lenses that Oakley makes is a ballistic glass. No matter what pair of sunglasses you have or even eyewear, they're ballistic rated glass, so it's super good. Anyhow, there was a piece of shrapnel that stuck in this gentleman's right where his eyeball was, and it stuck in the glasses, in his PPE. It saved his eyesight for sure, that eyeball, and possibly his life. Who knows at the velocity, because it cools it off very quickly. The ballistic glass cools, so it doesn't go through. It doesn't melt and go through. So it helped. It showed that the stuff works. So they posted the picture everywhere so people knew, right? Now, we had a guy, so we got different plates. When we first got there, we had these kind of ceramic-looking body armor plates. And then, 2 months into our tour, we got these armor-piercing protective plates that had like a steel plate inside of it, and they were more protective, but they were 3 pounds heavier, right, per plate. So 6 pounds on top of all your gear. It's 130 degrees outside. Go fight for your life. Well, some of the guys, just like you guys were, just like EB was talking, man, guys are they're passive, or they think, I'm good, I'm not going to get hit, I'm not going to be the one. Well, one of our guys got shot by a sniper and it went right through his plate and hit his stomach. Immediately, I was out on patrol. Immediately, they said, check your buddy. Look to your left and right and check your buddy. What plates does he have in? If he doesn't have the right plates, make him put them on as soon as you get back, right? And it was important because it showed not only how effective this stuff was, it was showed what happens when you didn't utilize it, right? Yeah. So on top of that, we have these things that we don't know if they're going to work. We don't know what's going to happen with, like, for example, we have an NBC outfit that's got charcoal inside of it, and that stands for nuclear, biological, and chemical, in case we get attacked with one of those weapons, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you don't know if this stuff's going to work, but are you going to chance it and not put on your gear? No way. Right. You're definitely, if you think gas is coming or something, you're putting your gear on, right? Yeah. So this is no different. Do I want to wear a mask? No. Do I forget it? Yeah. But the point is that I have to do that because it's not about me. It's about the bigger picture. It's about showing my kids what right looks like, and about showing society that we are accountable to each other. And not just that, but I want to protect the people who are at risk. I may not be, but that doesn't mean that, senior here isn't at risk, or someone else who's, maybe have a little bit older and has health issues. We want to make sure that we're doing our part to show them that we can make a difference as individuals by doing the right thing.
I mean, and that's I think what you talk about is a critical thing. And Eric, I'll let you again lead the discussion, but just the fact that you may not want to wear it. It may be heavy, it may be hot, it may be inconvenient, but at the end of the day, this is gear. These are requirements that are out here to protect you, save your life, and you've got to do it in that one time. When you don't do it, something's coming up or you're sick and you get hit right again. If you're not wearing the right type of equipment, that could have been that one time where unfortunately you didn't get up from it. So, I mean, this discussion is what I know it's extreme, right? And it's kind of apples and oranges, but I guess I want folks that are watching this to understand the fact that the gentlemen that are here in front of you right now have seen the dark and the ugly and all those types of situations, but they've survived and they've gotten through it because they were protected as they should have been. All we're asking folks to do out here up and down Roseville, Antelope, Folsom, and wherever, put a mask on, right? So we don't have to deal with this next year. We don't have to deal with this for much longer. Eric, talk a little bit about, I guess, if you can relate to some of the things that Danny was saying, right? And then again, I'll let you guys just have that free flow and discussion about some of your experiences. I'm trying to do a scared straight, to be honest with you, and try to get folks to buy into our message.
I think that's good. I think Danny touched on some good points. And again, not knowing everyone's age, I think when we first started discussing about the show, the different generations. So, I went in '86. So in '86, things, people may have been lax, but not even just talking about the generation differences, because he's talking about like the training differences between the branches. He's talking about these guys do a buddy system. I don't remember that in the Air Force. And Marvin, correct me if I'm wrong. When I was in the Air Force, I don't know that we did a buddy system. I know that there were some people that did police others, but I think that's huge. I think training would be if consistent standard training throughout all branches was the same, I think there would be, I don't know. You tell me, would it be better? Because I was in the flight line, so we're going out to red balls, and red balls when you have a plane right at the end of the runway waiting to fly. When I was working at F-16, we had to go out there, pull the EPU pin or put a pin in, or park a plane, whatever. There's a lot of times I went out there, I didn't have like a helmet. I hit that pedo tube. I got like 3 stitches. I mean, does it have to be tragedy so for you to, for people to kind of, I need my PPE,
I don't think so. I think training is huge, EB, because like when you talk about the flight line, right? So I was airborne and all that stuff. So we use the Air Force to fly us around sometimes. So when we go out there and there's no headgear, so you don't have a hat or anything on, and the guys are like, "Hey, why don't we have that, Sergeant?" And the answer is because you don't want it to fly into the planes. You don't want it to cause a problem out there. You don't want it to fly off and you're trying to chase it. You don't want any issues. Well, they don't necessarily thinking about that, but once you train them on this is how we do it, this is the standard operating procedure, people get it and they do it, and then they show the next guy, they teach the next one, and that really. So when you talk about training, for me, that's nail on the head, because it really does. Well, number one, it gives guidance and leadership, and it shows people what right looks like.
Exactly. Well, it's not the training. The training's fine. It's the reinforcement of the training. When people, once they get out of the training, do they constantly keep doing it? Because like EB was saying, you get complacent. oh, I'm not doing this. I've done this plenty of times.
Yeah.
I think I might have been in a situation like that before, once or twice, but it was like, whoa, this plane is loud. I need to put my ear defenders on, or you got to put some goggles on because, like Mr. Hicks said, you got to run that engine to see if that line is going to leak or not. And if you're next to that line and it does leak, you getting sprayed.
Yeah.
And you don't want that sky drill, which is some nasty stuff in your eyes, on your skin, or anything. Even the fuel is nasty.
You're exactly right though, Marvin, because I know for sure, like, so there's all this stuff about the 3M earplugs right now, right, with folks in the military and hearing loss. Okay, well, I'll tell you, right, so I was an artillery guy, we shoot bombs, I'm supposed to be there so I can adjust it, so I need to be up close. Our guys hardly ever wore them. They thought that it would hinder their ability to hear the guys next to them or the radio, and so they wouldn't even wear them. And now they're like, "Oh, pay me because I got hearing loss, and you didn't wear your PPE, and now you're feeling the consequences of that."
Yeah,
because they got complacent.
Well, I need to say something regarding that because I need to take you back to Vietnam because there's some places and sometimes when you did not want to have anything in your ears, because you didn't want anybody sneaking up on you. And so I tell you, that's one of the things I have to deal with right now. The fact that anybody sneaks up on me makes me jump or I react in response. However, but the overall benefit of wearing hearing protection, you cannot put it down. But like I said, one exception I know is when you're out there in the bushes or wherever you may be, and you trying to hear every sound and recognize every little crink and crinkle, you don't want to have anything to deflect the ability to hear that. However, if you're not out there, you need to wear every piece of protective gear you can get. Let me slip for a second, if I may, gang, because there's a career I had in the Air Force, and a lot of persons are aware of it, that's due to the classification. My first permanent station, I was assigned to Air Force Special Weapons Center in Curtin Air Force Base. Air Force Special Weapons Center. We did things like NDI. NDI means non-destructive inspections. We work with chemicals. And I'm telling you, back in the 60s, what you call them now PPEs now, we wore PPEs because the effect of the chemicals with direct contact with your skin, with your body, was dangerous. And it created a lot of unpleasant situations for people. That's where I personally learned in the Air Force the importance of personal protective equipment. Because had I not used it as I was supposed to use it, I don't feel and believe I would be here now, especially with what the items I was dealing with. Can you imagine a person going under radiation 2 or 3 times a week? I had to wear a badge to measure the amount of radiation my body took before I could do another thing. What I'm saying, I am really stressing what we call it PPEs, because PPEs do work. The only time they don't work is when you take the mask off and get placed in the caskets. I have to use that example because to me, it has been personally good for myself to have me here today. Taking it back to the war, to the Vietnam, okay? See, in the war, and I'll just give you a little bit. I can't give you a whole lot. In the war, people feel and think that the Air Force, being the Air Force, we are luxury living in the barracks and eating in the dining halls and so forth. The Army, Marines, and so forth. They're out in the bushes, running the snakes and all of these things and so forth. What made the PPE one of the most effective tools in the Vietnam War for the Air Force was that Tet Offensive. Normally, we walk around having no flight vests on, but when we had that Tet Offensive, we found out that the PPE, for that better terms, the helmet and the flight vest, they were life-saving devices. Right. And that had to happen for us to realize how important. Coming to the day.
It's like a seatbelt.
We don't know all everything. Okay, seatbelt. That's right. Don't wear your seatbelt and get into the situation you be throwing out the vehicle you be saying you wish you had. Yeah. Same thing with that mask. Same thing. There's so much they can't tell us about this COVID-19 because there's so much they don't know. But what they have indicated, hey, right now we do know that that mask, those gloves, and shield are protective items. Consider to use them if you want to continue to live. If you love your family, consider to use them. If you love yourself, consider to use them. Because this COVID thing is attacking ages from 2 to 102. You know what I'm saying? And some of us are here because we chose to use the methods of the PP. I can't get over this word PPE. Yo, that's powerful.
That's the new. That's the politically correct. That's the new word today, Daddy. That's the new word. But you doing like old pastor used to say. Make it plain for sure. You making it plain, Daddy. You had something, and Marvin, I know you had some gear with you. I think you had some masks or something. Or what do you got? You got some books? What you got?
Well, I got
Oh shoot! Look at this.
Hangers manual.
Oh,
You don't throw stuff away.
he pulled out some documentation. What you got, Danny? Oh, he
But,
came with show and tell.
But yeah, I just got the mask that I wear at work. Got to rep my Eagles.
No, see, I'm gonna take you off camera. Hold on. That's that. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't know who this is, Danny. I'm sorry.
Stuff I wear at work.
Yeah.
But with this manual that I have, had to dig in the crates for this. As soon as you told me about it, I was like, and actually reading the first paragraph on this, it says, the world is changing fast, new threats, new technologies, and new tools are changing the way we prepare for conflict. The 21st century Air Force must be ready for the challenges. This manual will help you get there. So with the change.
So first of all, hold on. So what year was that from?
1999.
Nothing changed, brother. Nothing's changed.
Yeah. I mean, things are changing constantly. And this has the different mock levels for chemical warfare, the different mock modes. Tells you. I remember going through chem warfare training, and you got your mask, you got your gear, your boots, jackets, and everything, and they tell you, we practice putting it on from for different mock levels. The most serious mock level, I forgot which one it was, from 1 to 4, this and that, where you got to either put on just the mask or you put on the whole gear. And after you practice putting it on, after a certain amount of time, the instructor will blow a horn or do some kind of signal, and you have 9 seconds to put your mask on. And it's not as soon as you hear it, and they tell you, as soon as you hear the horn, you don't go and then put it on. You got to stop breathing at that point, because whenever chemical agent is there, it hits you, it's there. You take a deep breath, it's already in your system. You got to stop breathing, put it on, have it donned and sealed, and then you can breathe. Yeah. But as soon as you hear that horn, you got to stop.
And they did that for you in the gas chamber, right? You guys talking about the tear gas chamber, right? You got to blow out.
I was fortunate to where when I was in basic training that the gas chamber was broken every time I was scheduled to do that.
Man, listen, when I went to the gas chamber,
hold the wrenches in your pocket. The wrenches, it's broke.
The gas chamber still.
That's no joke.
Man,
yeah, that's what I heard.
There was the first squad that was going in there. We were going to be the second platoon, but the first squad that went in, right? So there's 10 guys that go in, and the first thing you got to do is you're in the warm-up room before you actually go in the room where they're making it. I don't know if it was the same for you guys. So you don't have your mask on at that point. But you can start breathing it, and immediately guys are having burning eyes. Their eyes start watering, and then they say, okay. You're going to go inside the room. Like you said, Marvin, you're going to hold your breath, put your mask on inside this room where they're using CS gas and it's filling up the room. The first guy they drug out, he passed out. So we know that the mask works because when you had your mask on, you didn't do that. But as soon as you took your mask off, now you're supposed to, when you go through that part, the gas chamber, you got to start saying a platoon motto for us. You got to state your name, right? And then platoon motto. So we're trying to, and you don't get halfway through it. If you're good, you get a quarter of the way through it before you're gasping. Your lungs stop working, right? And then you go outside and you try not to hit the tree that's right out the exit door, and everybody's puking and spitting up out there, right? But we know that those gas masks work. I'll tell you, I was in Korea before I went to Iraq. I was in Korea, and they have alerts every month, and this very loud horn goes off, and it's essentially simulating an attack from North Korea or China. And so immediately you go into a runner because we're right by the DMZ, so we're right by North Korea. So you have all your gear ready to go to war, your go to war bag, and so we usually go to MOP 1 immediately, where you get on your military overprotective posture or whatever, right? So you have this suit that's filled with charcoal. When I first got to Korea, you're supposed to wash it and get all that charcoal out. Well, I didn't. Mine was brand new in the package. I decided to drink that night because that's what they said. Go out drinking with the new guys. So I'm drinking, and at 4:30 in the morning, this alarm goes off, this alert goes off, and I come out of my room and I'm scared. I have no idea what's going on, right? And they're like, oh, no, we're going to go into a field problem. We're going straight to the field. I'm like, I've been here for one day. And they're like, you got your stuff? Put on your mop. And I immediately, when he said, put on your mop suit and go get your weapon, I knew that my mop suit was brand new in the package. And I had charcoal in my ears and my eye for like a week and a half, right? It took forever to get it out. But that stuff works. And if we know that it works, it saved lives, then why not do it? What's the point of not wearing it?
And I think that's the issue. That's
Let me give you another example. I was going to give you another example. I listened to what you were saying, and it reminded me of something that happened with my son when he was born. Because we were stationed in Michigan, and in Michigan, up there where we were, you're talking about 0 temperatures, and out on the front line, can you imagine? Air Force, I got to give it to the military. The military was way ahead in the civilian, and I don't mean to be putting anybody down, but they were really ahead because they issued us what's known as bunny boost.
Mm-hmm.
Protective gear to go to that flight line to work on those aircraft. Can you imagine being out there in that environment and not having that protection gear? Arms, legs, everything be falling off, breaking off because it's cold. So what I'm saying, once again, this validates the fact how important this protective, personal protective equipment is. I can look at the PPE here. It validates once again. We have to stress how important it is because way back when, if some of us did not wear that, we would not be here today to discuss this.
Yeah, that's a good
and
point.
I think that's huge. I think one of the big issues. The reason why we brought up this whole PP issue to begin with was because of the fact that these guys out here is COVID, right? There's COVID out there, but we're getting mixed information because we got one group of people telling us, hey, the mask will work. We got another group of people saying the mask won't work. And I'm gonna tell you right now, in my mind, the mask ain't gonna work. If I can blow out a candle with a mask on, then that's not the proper mask on. And they say you can wear like your T-shirt, cut up a handkerchief, and you can blow through those things. So particles are gonna get through those. So there's a mixed message here. It's like how is this gonna save us if it's the particles that are getting through them? And I think for me, it's not the issue of me. It's the issue of me maybe spreading it to somebody else. And I think people have they're so into their individuality that they don't care about who. They're like, I don't need to wear a mask. I don't need this. I don't need that. And trust me, I don't want to wear a mask. I don't wear a mask when I'm outdoors or in my car. But when I'm around people, I'm going to wear a mask because who knows? I don't want to infect anybody, and I don't want to. How would you feel? And I think that's the question. I think people need to stop thinking about themselves and saying, oh, if you're not worried about it, that's fine. However, I wear a mask because I don't know for sure, and I don't infect anyone else. And that's people like senior about your family. If you love your family, you love your friends, you don't want to expose them to that.
That is a very selfish way of thinking, like EB, when people are just considering themselves and not everyone else. I'm healthy. I don't think I'm going to die. Listen, I have anthrax running through my body from my government who said, just in case the enemy poisons us. Turn out just my government poisoned me. So, but like I said, seatbelt, parachute, they only work if you use them. Right? Now, what you said, I think, is huge because I agree. I don't think that cloth masks work. I don't believe it works. However, I'm still going to wear it when I'm around people because I want to do the right thing. And if it does mitigate it, make it a little bit better, then I'm doing something to help. However, I think having the right equipment, that parachute, that seatbelt for the right situation, the right mask, that is the imperative part. If we have the right equipment, then we can really save lives and close this thing down. And then we can get back to some sort of normalcy. Things are going to be different than they were before. I don't have any, for me, there's no question about that. Things will never be the way they were before this, just because I think there's going to be a lot more caution in the world about spreading viruses and that sort of thing. However, I feel like if we, this is a great opportunity for us as a society and as America to show the rest of the world, because obviously we haven't been doing so hot and everyone looks at us as an example. And right now we're not setting the best one because there's a lot of that selfish thinking, EB, just like you said, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have to disagree with you guys about the mask not working. They do work. Because, I had to wear the N95 mask and it has a little flapper on for a few times at work, depending on what I'm doing. And after a while, that moisture builds up if you keep it on for a while. So that's keeping the your spit from going out. So and keeping the whatever particles from coming in. For example, if the house is on fire, what do they tell you? Get a wet towel, maybe put it at the bottom of your door, or get a wet towel and put it over your face to keep that smoke from getting in. So it does work to a certain extent, depending on what kind of mask you have. Some of these masks I have are pretty thin, so it's not really helping. But it's just for show. Some of them are pretty.
You wearing them because they're pretty. Look, I was down in Mendocino this week, and a dude had a crochet mask, and I told my daughter, I said, Jordan, that's probably not doing much, but he thinks it looks good. So, but I hear what you're saying on that. Look, at the end of the day, wear something, right, to protect yourself and to protect others from
keep
you.
away from people,
Right.
Keep your distance.
Yeah.
Don't get in people's personal space. I mean, before it was, you got your intimate space, your personal space. Now it's social distancing.
Man.
So, hey, you keep away from me, bro. I'm a hugger. When I see my people, I give love.
Yeah, I know. Can't give it. We're giving everybody the elbow. We're doing the kid and play now. It's all. I probably just dated myself with that one. There's probably some folks watching that don't know what I mean when I say kid and play. But
yeah,
let's go into a. Oh, go ahead, Deb.
I'm gonna tell you something from my perspective.
Yeah.
One of the most devastating things for me right now is not to be able to hug my granddaughter and my grandson. You know that I got a bump, elbows, teeth, feet. That is really. But you know what? You know what I say? They tell me if I do this thing down later on, I might be able to get those huggers and that I miss right now. So I'm not willing to change. I'm not willing to. I got to master up.
Keep collecting those hug credits.
I love it. Let them add up.
I get to hug Jennifer again.
Yeah. Keep bringing food over here. Then you never know.
I'm gonna tell you what, really quick. I was just up in Sacramento. My grandson had a motorcycle race. They had tons of people out there. I'm telling you, tons of people. There had to been a good 100 just drivers riding the bikes at different age groups. And so we're out there. I was with my wife, and my son. We were the only three with masks on. I was like,
wow, that's terrible. That's terrible.
And honestly, like the smoke and everything. So, and the reason why I say the mask don't work is because even though you put a wet cloth on you, that smoke is still getting you. That's still getting you, and the dust and the dirt was still hitting us. I'm telling you, I was like hacking up dirt. My grandson did well. He took fourth place, but that was all right. People were coming up and say, I want, trying to shake my hand. I said, no, you got to get away. And let me tell you what, here's why.
Keep educating. That's all right. Educate. Oh, what do you got there? Well,
it's a why.
Let me recap here. And Danny, you're new to this. Like I said, this whole unscripted show is different than anything else that we do. It's off the cuff, right? We just shoot information out. It can be emotional. It can be one of us going on a rant or whatever the case may be. But the idea is this was a particular rant that I think we needed to have. That's why we kept it on the unscripted moniker. And the message was more than timely and more than relevant and very necessary. And I hope that folks watching take heed to, I don't want to say the war stories, but the reality stories that you guys presented today. And I know there's more, and I think we want to continue to have this discussion as we can, because just like the social conversations that we've been having on the other streams, these are the awkward conversations that I think that need to happen, and there's healing in having these conversations. So don't be surprised if I reach out to you gentlemen again to have an even deeper conversation, particularly about what you're doing in support of our military veterans, helping them make it through each day, helping them understand resources that are available to them, helping them understand that they are not alone. I mean, that's a conversation that needs to happen as well. And I think you guys are the right guys who have been there, done that, and can have that conversation. In closing, you guys got anything you want to say in relation to the topic today? I'll start Again, I'll start with the senior over there right below me. You know, be respectful. Yes, sir. I'll talk to you, Mr. Hicks. What you got, sir, as we close?
If you haven't done it, and if you have any grandkids, don't be afraid to let them ask you any questions they may have regarding you, your life, how you grew up, or how you did what you did. And the reason I find it so important, because I realized that when I was growing up, I knew very little about my grandfather. You know, and I spent some time here recently with my granddaughter and my grandson. It was the best hour and a half I spent in a long time. So hey, take time and let them hear from you about you. Thank you, son.
Marvin, what about you, man?
Uh, like I say, continue wearing your mask. It does help a little bit depending on what you're wearing, because like I have allergies, and when I first started wearing the mask, I was kind of reluctant also, but then once I put that mask on, I see my allergies dissipated. So, but hey, put your mask on, keep away from people. You know, feel sick, stay your ass at home.
There it is. There it is.
You know,
Put that on T-shirt.
Yeah,
That's a good little slogan right there. If you feel that,
yeah,
I love it. I love it.
yeah.
Mr. Burks, what you got, man?
Man, wear your mask. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. It's not for you, for your friends, your family, other people out there. That's all I got to say. Again, I may not believe all the hype out there, but I'm gonna wear my mask to save another person if that's the case. So, let's try to do something selfless for someone, not be so. I mean, if you look at all those little videos that they keep showing, they're so concerned about somebody not wearing a mask, and they're right up on them. I'm like, what? If you're scared about the mask, why are you up on them? Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Wear your mask yourself.
mm-hmm.
Wear your mask. Wear your mask.
Yep. Mr. O'Neill, first of all, before you get started, man, it's a pleasure virtually meeting you, man. You know, we were introduced by a Facebook friend, and she said you need to talk to Danny about this. I said, okay, well let's get him online. You all right, brother? I see that pool you got there too. We're gonna figure out something where we can do a barbecue or something over there at your house. We all coming to your house
With our mask.
yeah. You know, we we just invited ourselves. So hopefully you know your way around the barbecue. But we want to come and continue to have this conversation and continue. Oh shoot, there he go with the pizza maker. Oh.
I'm humbled to even be here, man. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and it's great for, I think, the ability to express yourself and, number one, spread some of those positive vibes and help people navigate some of the stuff it's invaluable. I'll just say two things real quick as a recap. Number one, we're gonna have a chance to reflect on this and look back, and what message do you want to have sent during this time, during this pandemic? What is it that you wanted to express to your community or to the world at large, and how you were behaving and how you taught your kids or whoever else, your neighbors to behave? And did you lead by example? And on another part, just to go with that, is just we usually don't feel the effects of doing the wrong thing or, not doing the right thing right away. It usually takes a little time to catch up to us. And this is going to be no different. If we don't have the intestinal fortitude to do the right thing, this is going to show up later on. It's not going to just going to be us suffering the consequences. It's going to be the future generations, our kids and our grandkids.
Wow.
Right.
That's a very good way to put it. And that's a good way to close out. So again, gentlemen, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your willingness to come on and have this conversation, and kind of like the message that I put out there for folks. Look, just wear your mask, man. Come on, just do it. I know you don't want to. We know you don't want to, but we no one wants to. We don't want to be isolated and quarantined in our houses as well. I'm trying to get to the gym sometime before I lose any definition that I had before this quarantine. So we'll get through this together. I think there's still some conversation that needs to happen. Hopefully you believe the science more than you believe the politics that's out there, because that's really where the message is. So follow that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us for Unscripted. It's been another great show. Evie, what you think? It was all right?
It was
Thank
nice.
you, James.
All right, all right. Y'all don't leave. You know, we
Thank
like to talk afterwards. And
Wear
if you
wear your
were,
mask. Support your local businesses.
oh, see, there you go with
California,
the see.
California.
There you go.
If I didn't say this, these ladies will whoop my ass.
That's true. And just plugging things on our airtime. You know, I'm gonna start charging next time you come on screen. I'm gonna start charging you.
I'll see you there Friday. Noon.
Yes, you will at noon. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Y'all hang on for a little bit after we go offline because I want to chat to you. But everyone, thank you very much for joining another episode of ITN Live Unscripted with Scoop and EB.